Nigeria's federal government has taken a significant step towards enhancing the country's aviation industry by directing the Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace Development to ensure all aircraft operated by Nigerian airlines, bringing the industry closer to international standards and making it more attractive to foreign investors. This development was announced by the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, during a stakeholders engagement meeting on insurance in Abuja. He said, or rather he revealed, that Vice President Kashim Shettima instructed the ministry to initiate the insurance process, ensuring that Nigerian airlines aircraft are fully covered. This move is expected to bolster confidence in Nigeria's aviation sector, making it more competitive globally. Well, joining us via Zoom for this conversation is aviation editor, New Telegraph, aviation analyst, Wale Shadari. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
One would wonder, is it that the Nigerian aircrafts were not insured such that it met the global standards, and that is why this is making headlines? What really is big about this move by the aviation industry?
Thank you very much. I think it's a good one. It's a good one for the country. All aircraft are insured. Before now, even we have the local content, but it's not as high as what it is or what we have in other clients. A lot of airlines or a lot of lessors make sure when bringing aircraft into Nigeria on dry leases or wet leases, they make sure that these aircraft are insured outside the shores of this country. But what the government has done now is for all the insurance firms to come together, because what has worked against them is the allegation that the local insurance firms do not have the capacity to handle insurance for airlines in Nigeria. But some of them have dismissed it, that it is not true. The truth of the matter is that when you're bringing aircraft or when you're leasing aircraft is what I call, in a layman's language, rent, or you're going to lease aircraft for a certain period of time. The people that are leasing the aircraft to you, because they are not so comfortable or believe that the Nigerian insurance firm will handle that quantum of insurance. So they decide to ensure that they insure the aircraft outside the shores of Nigeria, which has really affected the insurance company. So what the government has done is to make sure that we have the local content inputs into insurance of aviation or aircraft in Nigeria. If you look at the aviation industry as a whole, or the airline business as a whole, is highly capital intensive. One brand new aircraft, maybe Boeing 737 MAX, is as high as $200 million, $300 million. Then you have aircraft that are as high as $800 million. So there's usually the fear that the local insurance may not have the capacity to insure aircraft. Anything that happens to an aircraft should be covered or ordinarily covered by the insurance firm. So what the government and the minister has done is a very laudable one. So the insurance firm need to come together, pool resources together. Yes, they do that, pool resources together to reinsure those assets in Nigeria. And it's going to make those insurance firms to be more, it brings the market to them rather than taking the market away from Nigeria and giving it outside. So they need to work collaboratively with the firms that are giving them leasing aircraft to them. So it's a good one, and we begin to see a lot of vibrancy in the insurance firm, particularly when it comes to aviation. Before now, a lot of people have raised the fear that the insurance firm in Nigeria do not have the capacity to underwrite some of this risk. But they have come out to say it is not true, that they have all the capacity to underwrite every risk in aviation industry. And for the government to have
Mr.
said no,
Shadari.
and for the
Yes, let me just quickly, interrupt your thoughts there, because you've been mentioning insurance companies' capacity, that's local insurance in Nigeria. And I'm wondering what you mean by capacity. Are we talking about capital here? Because you mentioned that insurance for airlines are capital intensive, but in specific terms, when you're talking about the capacity of the local insurance companies to handle this airline insurance, what do you mean?
Okay, what I mean in terms of the volume, you see, aircraft cost so much, and because they feel is a risk that they feel that whatever happens to that aircraft or whatever happens to that asset, by insuring it here, most times could also take some time to resolve, because a lot of people have had not too pleasant experience with the local insurance. I'm not saying they are not good, they are perfectly in order, but a lot of people have had reservation about them, when it comes to covering risk. So they feel that it is better for them to do it outside the shores of this country. In the past, when we had crashes and most times the biggest insurance firm all over the world is Lloyd's of London. So they do reinsurance. So most of them go to Lloyd's, even for the fact that our insurance firm have the capacity, but they believe that they are bigger. They have all the resources to, underwrite any risk. So what they do most time, they reinsure. They give part of the business to Nigerian Nigerian insurance firm, because whatever happens is domiciled in Nigeria, so that they can be quicker in resolving whatever claims they have. So it's just a misconception that they do not even have the capacity. When I mean capacity, they do not have the fund, they do not have what it takes to ensure a highly capital intensive, and because of issues that may arise from whenever there's an issue, the issue of risk, how to cover those risks. So I think the National Insurance Commission has also come out to say all these things are not true, that they have capacity to do it. The problem with us in this part of the world is that we believe everything outside this shore is better than what we have. And that is why the government is saying we must have serious local content in aircraft or aviation insurance in Nigeria. And what they do is to pull resources together, even if they don't have the resources to handle those risks. So I think what the government has done is to allay the fear of everybody. And the minister has also seen through, because he has the report, he has been meeting with this insurance firm through NICOM to sit down to see, because when he came to office last year, the minister also said that the insurance company in Nigeria do not have the capacity to cover risk of airline. But I think he has seen it. He's singing a different tune. He's bringing all those insurance firms together because it's cheaper when you do it in Nigeria. Not only is it cheaper, they can relate very well with these airlines that are working, or these aviation practitioners that are working in Nigeria. So it is easier for them to deal with, any risk that may arise.
All right. So let's look at the long-term outlook for Nigeria's aviation industry, and how will insurance play a huge role in all of this?
Not that we play a huge role, because most of the time, nobody will want to go and buy an asset that is worth over $200 million dollars, or $100 million dollars, even $50 million dollars, without having, involving the insurance firm. It's just that in this part of the world, we do not take insurance seriously. But do not get me wrong, there's no way you can bring there's no way you can operate in this environment without insurance. There's no way. Even for ground handlers, you have to make sure that the insurance that cover your risk, because anything can happen in aviation. You can have incident, you can have accident, lives can be lost, and you will need to pay compensation. So There's no way insurance is not involved in aviation. In fact, you cannot even operate the NCA, the regulator, will not even allow you to operate without having proper insurance cover. It used to happen in the past, I think about 10 years ago or 12 years ago, where airlines will operate. Some airlines, not all of them, some of them, their insurance cover will operate and will still be allowed to fly. That is not allowed in the aviation industry, but it happened some 10, 12, 15 years ago, and we're having a reshift from what we used to have now, because the regulator will not allow you to operate if you do not have a valid insurance cover. So they play a significant role in the aviation industry. You can't remove insurance from the aviation. What we're just more concerned about is that let's begin to see the local content in the aviation industry. Let our insurance begin to also take active participation in underwriting risk in aviation. Before now, they used to run away because aviation is full of risk. Anything can happen to your asset. Anything can happen anytime. So most of the time, they run away from even venturing into the aviation industry because of his high risk. But they've seen, look at it, that now we need to start looking into the industry, invest more in insurance in the aviation industry. And that is why we are seeing this collaboration of government and NICOM, the Minister of Aviation, the Vice President. So it is even going to help the insurance firm to boost their operation if they begin to play significantly in the aviation industry. Before now, they used to be scared. They used to say, no, the market in aviation is very, very small and they cannot be putting a lot of risk in a small market. But they need to expand that. They need to have a rethink and begin to look at the aviation industry and how to develop the aviation industry by underwriting most of these risks rather than leaving it for the foreign insurance firm to play in our market.
But these risks are still there, and it's of course it impacts on Nigeria's risk profile. What kind of measures? It's quite a huge impact. What kind of measures can the sector take to mitigate these measures?
In the past, the airline operators brought us into this mess, in the sense that when they lease aircraft from lessors, when aircraft are leased to them to use for maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and at the expiration of that deal, the operators keep back the aircraft. So they already saw Nigeria as a risk country, that they do not want to have any business to do with Nigerian airlines when it comes to insurance. And some of them that have taken the risk to ensure that they underwrite some of these risks make their insurance premium very, very, very expensive to cover those risks, because they find out that their aircraft may never come back, the aircraft may have issues. So if the premium is, for example, if the premium is 200 naira, which is the normal premium for every other risk covered outside Nigeria or Africa, is 200. When it comes to Nigeria, it is about 800 or 1,000 naira, because they saw Nigeria as a high risk country where anything can happen to their aircraft. But if these assets are insured locally, it will be cheaper for the airlines, and the airlines are beginning to see that they need to collaborate with their lessor on how to make sure that they insure those assets there in Nigeria rather than taking it abroad. No businessman wants to take the risk after being beaten once or twice. We want to take that risk. But what the government is telling them now is that we're serious people. We've done things wrongly, but we need to correct some of those things that we have done in the past so we can continue to collaborate. And thank God for this Cape Town Convention Practice Direction, which has made it very, very illegal for any airline operator to keep the asset of the lessor. So, and that has shot up our rating from what it used to be, 40% or so, to 75%, which shows that they are now taking Nigeria seriously. So what the minister has done, honestly, is highly commendable, because that state-time practice direction is a game changer to all of the things we are seeing now. And the minister must be highly commended for his foresight, and the government must also be commended for their foresight too, in that singular action they took in making sure that those risks were taken off Nigeria.
Now, as much as it is highly commendable, I am wondering how this will ensure stability in the aviation sector, attract investors into the system, and also address other issues that are affecting the aviation sector. There's also the matter of insurance policy, duplication of premium payment that airline operators have spoken about. I'm wondering how all of this will address these issues on the long run.
Yeah, you see, the problem of aviation is multifaceted. We have so many issues in the aviation industry. We have, this is one of the issues that we have in the country, because if the airlines are able to insure their asset in Nigeria, it's cheaper for them. And that is one of the reasons you're seeing these astronomical fares that we are seeing now, because this also has increased the cost of operation of the airlines. So if we're beginning to have reduction in insurance, the premium in insurance, definitely is also going to affect the bottom line of the airlines positively, and we can begin to see cheaper airfare. We hope it comes to that, because at times the airlines can also be greedy. They can also put some of the problems on everybody except themselves. So we need to begin to sit down and to resolve these issues one after the other. If we're able to take this one out, we've been able to resolve that the issue of a jet fuel, scarcity of jet fuel, and jet fuel has been very, very stable now. Unlike what we used to have, scarcity. I haven't heard about scarcity of jet fuel, because we are producing this thing locally, and the price has been stable, even though it's a deregulated market. So we begin to see the impact of that. Then after that, we go to the next issue, and we go to the next issue, we can go to the next issue until we're able to resolve most of this problem. If we're able to resolve some of this problem, and we put a system in place, we'll begin to see a lot of investors come into the industry. There's so much assertiveness in the aviation industry that a lot of people do not want to put their money into the aviation industry, because they are not really sure of what becomes of their investment. So some of them are running away. The people that are there today must be commended for being resolute in remaining in the aviation industry. So it is not one size fits all solution. We need to tackle these things frontally and make sure that we reposition the aviation industry in Nigeria.
All right. We hope that this will address some of the issues that you have pointed out at the end of the day. Thank you, Wale Shadari, aviation editor, New Telegraph, as well as aviation analyst. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.